Hi, this is Alexcursus, a show where I sometimes take a look at some optional parts or extra parts attachments DLC for model kits. This time we are looking at the HG Scopedog expansion part set 4. Since these kits are meant to be used in conjunction with a complete kit, so the regular SAGA format wouldn't work quite as well. But I will still talk somewhat along of those categories in order to give you a sense of what to expect from these kits. I originally planned to have the expansion parts assembled on their own like these on the side and then swap them in to the Scopedog inside the video, like during the video. But it turns out this expansion pack is designed for you to replace the parts of Scopedog during assembly. But let's push that back a bit and see what I have added from this pack to the Scopedog. First and most strikingly is probably the red shoulder pad. It is pretty much the same shoulder pad as the original one, just cast in red, with the movable sickle all the same. Next is the Gatling claw, Gatling gun and a claw. This is the main weapon for the British dog, which is a custom version of the Scopedog. The Gatling claw replaces the Scopedog's forearm. Without the elbow guard, you can see how the two parts come together for the biceps. Although despite being taken apart and reassembled, it is still pretty seamless. You can see a bit of a bigger gap here because I did, take it apart and put it back. But it is small enough that it is not obtrusive. More like a typical detail embossed line, to be honest. The Gatling claw can turn a bit in the front of the elbow. But I will keep it straight up because the magazine sticking out here would hit the body, limiting the movement. Magazine is removable. In the anime, British dogs shoot the Gatling gun without a magazine inside or the same. So I think the magazine is more like a reloader mechanism because of the size of this Gatling gun. So there's probably an internal magazine and then this clip just fits additional rounds inside. It is called a Gatling claw because there is a claw on the side of the Gatling gun. This is one of the few, well, as the Armor Trooper Votom series progress, you will see more and more specialized melee weapons. Gatling claw is one of them. It's probably an evolution of Armor Trooper being more popularized. So instead of guns where your Armor Trooper could dodge away, you will need melee weapons that can surely take down a Armor Trooper, if not its pilot, since they are just being protected by one thin piece of armor. Unlike typical real-world Gatling guns, the tube in the middle is also a barrel turned into this rotary cannon with a middle barrel to, I don't know, up the rate of fire because it can, sort of thing. It is not really clear why that is, but yeah, 7 barrel even with the middle one. The left shoulder I have also replace the sickle or lifting eye. On the right is the old sickle and lifting eye. As you can see, it's just a simple link on the old one, and for the new one, it looks like it have a cross pin going through it. Of course, it is just a single piece of plastic with a wide opening. This lifting eye also comes with a multi-launcher, mostly filled with smoke. Pretty much the same thing as a real-world multi-launcher. Rather, Armor Trooper is sort of a bipedal tank, so a grenade discharger is pretty much just general use upgrades. I also replaced the hydraulic arm punch with a power bunker, or power driver, for those who are not into mecha jargons. To install the power bunker, I need to replace the internals, pretty much, the whole forearm. Well, the armor, the side armor is still the same, but I have to get rid of the elbow guards and then have a completely new core forearm. Yeah, basically a spike, with its own power that it can drive into the enemy armor. In this case, it is supposed to be electromagnetic. This is being deployed. The undeployed version is here. So despite being electromagnetic propel, it still have mechanical linkage to sort of support it once it is deployed. You also get a spare spike in the set, so once this spike is worn out or broken or being stuck inside something and then just eject it, Scopedog can take a second shot. I also replaced the outside of the lower legs to these ones with a 3mm port on the side, as well as getting rid of the back mud flap, much like Brutish Dog. It is pretty much just a provision for different options. Without the mud flap, you can see Scopedog's ankle better. It is a swivel and then on a ball joint to the foot. So you get a lot of, without the mud flap anyways, you can stretch out the foot very far down. As you can see here, that's the swivel, that's the ball joint to the leg. So yeah, a lot of movement for Scopedog to begin with. Is it that bad with this, without the mud flap to covering it up? Not really. A lot of heavy machinery does have this kind of giant chunk of simple joints, so that's fine. Oh yeah, the back skirt is also new. The original back skirt is just flat. This new one give you again 3mm ports that you can attach other things or spare spikes or whatever that you want to include. One of the things they show on the box or in the manual is attaching this anti-tank missile launcher on the side of the leg. As you can see, it is not very flushed, but I am not going to modify the pick just yet because I will be doing more expansion set and hopefully that would sit in better. In the meantime, this is how I will attach it because it kind of makes sense on the side of the leg. Notably, this anti-tank missile launcher is labeled as unguided, so these are more like rockets, and presumably they are heat rounds, but also presumably they would also work firing from an angle, kind of like javelin. So I have it at an angle because it would like flush on the table really, but I feel like the format of this launcher lends itself to be a javelin type. So yeah, this is my stage 1 of modified Scopedog. In the series, Kiriko also modified his Scopedog or his many Scopedog throughout. Although this is not one of his, more like me just on from the expansion set and slap them on a Scopedog. I originally didn't plan to buy a Scopedog because I'm kind of waiting for a Rabbity Dog or other more modified Scopedog. But as soon as I see the expansion sets, I was like, I should get a Scopedog and put things on. And before I go too far, let's take a look at other things in the set. What I didn't put on Scopedog is these two different sizes of missile launchers. The one on the right is intended to be attached to a backpack, which I don't have at the moment. And this one could be attached to the side, but again, the pack is really long and it have this bar to prevent it to sit too far in. So it wouldn't look good on the side of the leg anyway. So I will be holding this off until I got another part that I can attach it to the Scopedog. As for this one, I might just keep it on the side all the way through. Maybe even put it on a Gundam later on, but that's something else. Either way, color separation for the missiles. That's something Gundam should do a bit more often on HGs. Although this expansion set is kind of expensive, that's why they can get away with it. Either way, nice touch for the assembly. You also get these leg frames which have a extra joint on the knee. Bandai sort of do a double take on the downform mechanism, where I did show it in the original video. That downform was fine, but then when they released the first expansion pack, they're like, no, we got a better downform frame, which is included in this set because of the sprue that we'll talk about later. Either way, this is exactly what I was talking about. Bandai could have made the original HG Scopedog a lot simpler, make it a lot cheaper so that more people will grab it, because it is a very nice case, just a bit expensive for what it is. Also included in the extra sprue along with the new knee joint is this alternative chest piece, which is mostly the same, except now you have a larger fan block for some of the Scopedog variants. So we have pretty much just a different fan block with a different chest design. Curiously, it does not include any of the ball joints to the head or down into the abdomen. So these chest pieces are designed to be replaced as you assemble your Scopedog. New fine joint that can rotate down, much like what Gundam do to their extra fine movement instead of this left-right rocker on the Scopedog. Again, I'm glad they have this in that sprue, but really weird, alternation of the original idea. Also, some different shape of front skirts, so slightly narrower, and then new knee armor to go along with the new knee joint. While we are here, back of those alternate skirt armor, also thick cast with details. We can see I sort of left this in because I'm not using these skirts. Yeah, you can see how thick the thick cast knobs are. So in a way, despite how new the Scopedog and the expansion kits are, they are kinda god-hand killers too. Of course, more have been taken out of the Scopedog aside from these things, but they are the only really relevant ones. I think Bandai includes this whole sprue for the extra knee and the thigh and the skirt armor is because they have the calf with the 3mm port and the back skirt with 3mm ports, as well as the forearm if I can find it. Oh, it's this piece. They are looking at from the top with a new internal. I think it's this one that I didn't recognize at first. Anyways, yeah, I think Bandai was like, we have all these weapons for people, and most of them is incompatible with the Scopedog. Yeah, basically aside from the Gatling claw, which is attached on the elbow, everything else is relied on the 3mm ports, which are absent in the original Scopedog. I don't think the original Scopedog need that, but if Bandai already have a sprue for all of this, like I said in the original video, I think they misplaced their priorities in that box set. It would be super welcome if the standard box set have this sprue with the extra knees where it's just like, we don't really want you to do a downform, but you can, use these parts to make a better downform. Just like the original Scopedog, this expansion set is quite expensive for HG. It costs almost as much as a standard mass production mobile suit, 1600 yen before tax. I guess it's fine compared to Scopedog itself, but I think for a rather niche line, this price point is not super attractive. Having said that, compare this to other Votoms at the market or other sci-fi kit on the market, this is still a steal given how easy everything goes on. And despite not designed for you to replace it afterward, but during assembly, you can still replace them afterwards if you are careful enough. And really, all I did was to use the sprue from the box set as sort of a tool to push some of the slide off the assembly from the Scopedog. So yeah, I am definitely keeping this sprue because it is a very useful tool. Unfortunately, and as you can see from the box, it is monochrome, so it is P-Bandai. You can put the anti-tank missile on the forearm in place of the power bunker, but I would like more melee weapon on my, melee weapon Scopedog. And you can't put the missile launcher on the side with this box set. You need another box set to do that. Yeah, this is where they show having the missile on the side. They didn't show you the front shot because there is a huge gap. And yeah, there's a backpack. That is also not included in this set. Going back to the manual, yeah, they talk about how you need about 3 different expansion sets to build some of the classic Votom Scopedog variants. Some only need 2 though, props to those, which is my problem with this line in general, to be honest. It seems, okay, the first 2 is pretty fine. The first expansion set is pretty much just Kirigor and then everything inside the cockpit, which is classic Scopedog. That one is fine. The second one is just some extra handheld weapons for the Scopedog. That is also fine. And then they go to expansion pack 3 where they have all the backpacks. which is puzzling. And then you get expansion pack 4, which have a lot of the onboard weapons, but not quite all of them, and you can't quite put all of them on a standard scope dog even with the, you know, expanded scope dog armor sprue. Yeah, I mean, that's probably why these expansion sets are in P Bandai, but I think if Bandai organized them better, they could easily be regular releases. In fact, given how the expansion sprue for the Scope Dog is its own, I think this pack would be fine as just all weapons. And then Bandai can release this sprue as its own option parts. Who knows how well the Votom line would do down the line. They may stay as a sort of P Bandai signature that would come back from time to time, and when people think about Votoms, they will just grab all the sets, and then afterward they will grab more Scope Dog like I did. At the same time, they might also do what they did with Burglary Dog, which have a lot of the option parts, which I'm not upset, to be honest. I think, if Bandai get organized, like for British Dog, they just need one backpack and then the extra leg parts. That's it. Bare, like British Dog would look bare compared to Burglary Dog in terms of just sheer size, because Burglary Dog have a lot of weapons. But I think having Brutish Dog being slightly more expensive than standard Scope Dog, people will still grab it, providing it have the correct coloration. If you like Scope Dog, if you like British Dog, if you like doing kit bash mag, this kit is not bad. Just, after you get British Dog, see how that went. If you like doing that, then hunt these down. Or, you are on board with P Bandai anyways, like I am. You just buy from them from time to time, then, grab one. Maybe they will be useful for your other projects. Still expensive for that kind of stuff, but for a newer, simpler addition to the HG Votom line, to be honest, I think this is one of the better expansion sets. The first one with the cockpits, that's for your classic display, basically its own thing. Second one, optional handheld weapons, that's cool too. But I think this is the one where you can really start customizing your own Scope Dog without all the scratch building. Thanks for watching. See you next time.